First, take off this trim piece. Next, we'll take off this hose here. Here's just an overview of the intake system, starting from the filter housing going down all the way to the intercooler. Next, grab a pick to pull off this electrical connector off this PVC pipe. On the other side, you'll use your pick to pry off these 4 prongs here. Just be careful because it can be very delicate, it can break. Just take your time here, no need to rush. After that, we'll take off the intake pipe. Part of that is the filter housing itself, which is 6 T25 Torx bits. And once you get those 6 bolts out, you'll just go ahead and pull this cover to the side. Next, there's just a 13mm bolt to take out so you can get the intake free. Now that you got that loose, just go ahead and pull up on the intake. Next, we're going to get this O2 bracket out of the way. It's held down by 2 T27 bolts. Just push it away so you have better access for getting some of the spark plugs later on. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get this Torx bit off here for this wiring loom in the back of the engine bay. On the other side, you just put your finger in and pop off this little tab so it comes loose. First, we're going to start with these first 4 spark plugs because they're easy to get to. And here we're removing the electrical connectors on the coils themselves, making sure everything's going smoothly before we get started on the spark plugs. Later on, I'll show you how to do cylinders 5 and 6 in the back. For the coils themselves, it's pretty easy. They just pop up and release. Then you'll just get a thin-walled 14mm socket to take off the spark plugs themselves. Once you got it loosened, you kind of just pull it out by hand just to make it easier, and man, mine looked like they definitely needed replacing. Once you pull out the old spark plugs, you'll put new, fresh spark plugs in, tighten them snug, and then you'll torque them down to 23 Newton meters. I ended up going with Delphi coils as well at the same time just to make sure everything was running very smooth. The car had 110,000 miles, so I figured it couldn't hurt. Like I said, the first 4 are easy to get to, but the next 2 are tricky and require you to take off some of these trim pieces on the cowl. Here you'll use a 13mm to take these quarter turn nuts off one at a time. Pop that trim off, and just put it aside. Same thing for the filter housing, 13mm quarter turn, and you'll get it loose. There's 2 kind of tricky in the back that you'll need an extension for. Once that's loose, there'll be an electrical connector by the hood strut. Pop that loose, and this should be free. Just kind of put it aside and out of your way. Under that is another trim piece that's held in by a couple 10mm bolts. I had to use my impact because the bolts there were actually kind of rusty. Once you get that loose, you'll pull that and put it out of your way. Now you've got good access to cylinders 5 and 6. That wiring harness we loosened earlier, you can kind of move it out of the way. Here's me pulling out cylinder 5. Pretty good access there. Sorry in the way for the camera. But here I am torquing it back down. And now we're going to go and tackle number 6. Here I am zip tying this wiring harness so we don't fight with it getting to the last cylinder. And then onto the last spark plug. Mine had a little bit of rust from what I found out, that water penetrates to the back of the engine a lot, so there's a lot of corrosion usually in the spark plugs or the fuel injector, so just use a little penetrating fluid, shouldn't hurt. And now we just need to get the new spark plug in there, torque down to 23 Newton meters, and that should just about wrap it up now. For those who found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you have any tips or tricks or questions for me, please leave it in the comments below. I've got more BMW E70 content coming out soon. Thank you for watching.